Yeah, I'm Dov Zakheim. I used to be Undersecretary of Defense, and I was a Deputy Undersecretary of Defense when Mr. Weinberger and Mr. Reagan were in charge. Oh, I think it was an important event. I think it's very important to recognize that Turkey has been a long-standing ally of the United States, and that even if there are tensions, and there clearly are tensions, nobody's going to argue that there aren't any, that alliance has to remain strong for two reasons. One, as I mentioned during the discussion, look what we did in 1946. The first time we got involved really in Europe after World War II was to support Turkey, as well as Greece, but Turkey as well. So this is a long-standing relationship. Secondly, we don't want NATO to start falling apart. If we have a major disagreement with Turkey to the point where it begins to threaten NATO, that's not in Turkey's interest, and it's not in our interest, and it's not in Europe's interest, it's not in the free world's interest. So we need to make sure that whatever disagreements we have, we can manage them. Well, if you look at Iraq, what we've essentially done is say the Kurds can be their own regional government. It's working out reasonably well. You have a Kurdish president of Iraq again, for example, but there are limits. And we would see the same in Syria. A united Syria, a Kurdish presence, and maybe even a regional administration of some kind that recognizes, don't mess with the PKK, don't try to undermine the unity of Syria. In a sense, behave yourselves. If they behave themselves, then I think things can work out like they seem to be in Iraq. If they don't, they'll lose our support. I guarantee it. It's very, very hard. If you recall, and I'm sure you do, there was some kind of negotiation that President Erdogan undertook with the PKK and with Öcalan, and then it fell apart. I think that at the end of the day, it's the two parties that have to understand each other. Now, we can try to be of help, but they have to ask us for help. One of the problems we've had in the past is we mix in too much when people don't want us to mix in. Now, if President Erdogan comes to President Trump and says, look, can you help me work something out? Then we have, I think, leverage over the YPG to say, you better start working something out. But it shouldn't be us to say, well, we're going to do something for you. They need to come to us and say, can you help? We've, as I say, too often we've decided what's good for other countries. And that's a kind of arrogance that I think offends other countries. They have their own history, they have their own self-respect. They need to follow their own calculations.